guys, I am your host, Amisha Ramsey, and I'm so excited for you to be tuning in to the Authentic Power Podcast as kicking off the first episode, and we have so much in store for you. This episode is called Inhale the Future and Exhale the Past, Remembering the Love and the Lessons and Forgetting All Else. I want to introduce my very special guest. She's a very powerful woman, Cydaria Cooke. She's an amazing woman. We're here just going to be diving in and talking about the future of 2022 and everything we have to expect. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to our lovely audience, everyone who has decided to tune in and listen to us today.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Cydaria Cooke. As Misha mentioned, I am a licensed clinical therapist. I'm in private practice at this time, and I'm enjoying that very much. But I do have an interesting background. I came from corporate America, working with my management and marketing for undergrad degrees, and then I have my MBA after that. So yes, I have that 7-year background in business, and then transitioned into a new profession. So, which also shows that no matter what you put your mind to, you need to transition to the things that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about your private practice. What is the name of it, and how did that come to fruition? How did you birth that? How do you switch from going business to something new?
Yeah. So, so I work under a group called Unified Solutions. So that's where you would find us. And I am one of the therapists there. I do have my own business called the Mental Health Spa, and that of which I'm working on bringing more services under that umbrella as well. But while working in corporate America doing project management or project coordination, I had kind of transitioned to a place where I enjoyed working one-on-one with people, and talking to people about what they wanted to do moving forward, or if the job wasn't a great fit for them, and just kind of taking a look at things that weren't working out for them at the place that I worked, and maybe for them to look at doing something that they're more passionate about as well. And with that one-on-one interaction is when I began to realize, like, I might want to go back to school.
Yeah.
So I did, and here I am.
Now, you guys, I know this podcast is not about Cydaria, but I want to just talk a little bit about her and her journey, which I find to be very powerful and interesting when you decided to go back to school, and just pivoting to do that. Like, it takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of willpower, because a lot of people, when we are in our careers and we have something set, it can be like a little uncertain to pick up and start something new, or to pivot and shift. How did you do that?
For sure. I think I got to a place where I just realized, like, maybe this isn't for me. I couldn't really see a future that I would enjoy moving forward where I was. It wasn't that I didn't like the work, because I really did. Out of all my years of work, I really loved the place that I was at.
And you were doing good at it too. That's what I hear.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And there were certain skills that I had built while doing that career, which was building relationships and being able to communicate with people. So there are different things that I learned to pick up on that I'm like, ooh, I'm good at this, and this is what makes me good at this job, but I kind of see something more for myself. So I think as soon as I tapped into that vibration, I was like, go. And so I started looking into different master's programs and seeing which one I thought would work for me, especially since I hadn't come from like a psychology background initially, and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, I just took off into doing some research for myself. I went interviewing, networking with people who already did this kind of work, asked them questions, and then applied to the school I wanted to go to, which was Indiana University, through their social work program. And it was amazing. So yeah, of course I had to have that talk with my husband, like, oh, looking for another master's. And he's like, I thought we finished school already, but we worked it out together, and that's what I did. That's how I moved forward with that. And it was tough, and it was kind of scary too. As you said, it's very scary moving forward into a new field that you're not familiar with, but when it's time to make a move.
Right. And I think that's very important for our audience, because there could be somebody on the cusp of wanting to try something different, or wanting to do something new with themselves, or recreate themselves. What would you suggest to them if they're teetering on the fence before they even take that leap of faith, as you did? What would you suggest to those folks to really go out there and just jump?
Yeah, I really think that it's important that I know a lot of people don't do this, and I think it's becoming more and more common in our world today, but like mindfulness and meditation, I think that it really gives you a chance to stop and to think and to bring that peace into your life so that you can feel more grounded and present within self. It kind of declutters your mind in a way that it allows you to think more clearly. So I think that if you're thinking about taking a leap because we all have a lot of different interests that we're just like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this, but it's like, what are you truly passionate about? And it's that, passion that is really going to help you get to, where you want to be and enjoying what you're doing. So you have to take that time to figure out what is that. And if your mind is not clear, you can't do that. Moving forward in the journey, as you asked about, like then talking to people who are already there. Speak to people who are already doing what you're considering doing. Find out if you like it. Find out if it makes sense for you. And make that work and blend within yourself and say, hey, is this something that will kind of work for me or not? And even along that journey, you may actually find something else that you might supposed to be doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you about your definition of what authentic power is. What is your definition of it? What is it for someone who listens to authentic power and it's like, what is that? What would be your personal spin on it?
Well, I like it that you came up with that. It's so interesting. I love those. I love those terms together because it's so funny that when Amisha shared that with me, like I talk to my clients about that all the time. Like there are different characteristics that we have to our personality that sometimes we enjoy them and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we see them as a hindrance. I remember certain things said to me when I was younger about being so sensitive and always worried about other people and not necessarily what they thought, but just them as opposed to myself and so on and so forth. And so those were things that were used against me as if it was a weakness. Okay. But as I transitioned and evolved further, especially in this profession, I realized like those things that were mentioned before, like I'm so sensitive and these things, those things were what I needed to do what I do today. Like I needed those things. So when we have people that are struggling with different things that they find problematic in their life, it's learning to kind of hone in on how that power can help you once you learn to control and manage it. So an example that I use with a lot of my clients is I'll say, I know you may or may not be a Marvel fan, but when it comes down to the superhero and you first meet the character, what's the first thing that they have to do? When they learn they have this power. And, some people guess it and some people don't, but it's, hey, they have to learn how to manage or control it, in order to be great at it. And so there's some things that the character themselves have to let go of in order to be able to do that, and then they become amazing. And so I feel that same way in regards to reaching into your authentic power. We each have something very special and innate within us, and we have to kind of be one with ourselves to figure out what that is.
Absolutely.
And then once we do, it kind of becomes easier to navigate like who and what we want to be. So, but you have to be true to yourself, and I think that's the first and foremost thing, being truthful to yourself, transparent, and that brutal honesty. Some people are kind of fearful of the brutal honesty, but that's your testimony, that's your journey. You have to get to that place of liking the things that don't sound the best, because that's what's going to lead you. That's going to be your road, your path to get you to your authentic power.
I want to just tap into, and we mentioned Marvel, so I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said, because I just happened to watch a Marvel movie, and it was the setting was Magneto, and he was just developing his power, trying to control it. And there was like this mutant who told him to tap into this place that was a painful place, and this sense of pain allowed his power to grow. Is there a way for us to tap into certain areas of our lives if it's a painful place? How do we know if we're going to the right place or the wrong place to reach this authentic power that we all harness?
You know what? That is a good question. I do think that's one that each individual would have to navigate on their own. because we do have traumas from the past in some way, shape, or form.
Talk to it.
And it's, you know, it can be emotional trauma, physical trauma, mental, emotional, you know, mixed together.
Yeah.
And so it's the responsibility of each individual to figure out, you know, how they're going to navigate through that trauma, how clear-minded they're going to be, how much are you going to process it. Some people are okay with staying away from it, burying it, and suppressing it. And so there's certain levels that they're not going to get to, unfortunately, and I hate to say that, but it's true. They're not going to get to certain levels unless they address those traumas and some of that past, and just kind of gain clarity there, because there is strength on the other side. And so you have to get there, but when you get there, you're gonna know, like, oh no, I can't go this way brings me certain triggers, and you know, this doesn't bring me the right energy, like this is a direction I should not be going. And then over here, it's like, here I see things clearly, this works for me, I need to stay where the positive vibes are, like this is the way I go. But that's after coming to that very honest and humble place.